unintentionally messing up like an outfit or something is making it clear that you had an intent, but you didn't fulfill it. And it's like, I see what you were trying to do with that jacket. It's not going.
That's not the compliment you want.
Nope.
You don't want to get something and be like, do you mean to do that?
That's way worse. That is way worse.
I see what you were trying to do.
Yes. Yep. Yep. That is way worse. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the brand new Rob Mathis podcast. I'm super, super excited. We actually have a lot of episodes getting ready to come out for you. We've been working on this since March. Okay. So we've had a ton of awesome, really cool guests that we've already shot. I do want to warn you, they're going to look different, sound different. This should be our normal set now. But in the future, the Rob Mathis podcast is here to stay. We want to make sure that we had a system ready for you guys to go, a backlog of content so that you guys will never have to miss an episode of these really awesome episodes that are getting ready to come out. But all that to say, one of the reasons we have a really good system now for producing content is our newest hire here at Horizon Media Group, the Luke Johnson. Luke, say hello to the masses.
How's it going, everybody?
So Luke's been here for, I guess, a month now coming up. Tomorrow it'll be a month.
Yeah.
So it's been really awesome having you here. We have been so stoked. You've brought such a new energy here. Your expertise is unmatched. You've brought a lot of cool new toys for us to play with, camera equipment, that is. And we've been really excited to have you here. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
I'm a banjo accent having boy from West Tennessee. I've been in media for roughly 12 years. And got into a bunch of other stuff. So music, mainly like video and photo. It's pretty much the sum of me is, sound like this and I make things for you to look at with your eyeballs.
Yeah. Well, you do a good job at it. You really do. What was kind of your journey into media, into this whole space?
My first time getting into like anything media related period, like visual arts period, was my grandpa. He had a Minolta X700 film camera in his cabinet. And like at the time that camera was that was the flagship. It would have cost, thousands for the whole kit and all that. And I just thought that like that camera was neat. And I asked him if I could use it. So he let me borrow it for a little bit. And then so I shot a bunch of photos and then I had my mom get them developed and they were all just black because it's film and I had no idea what I was doing. But the kind of the process of trying to troubleshoot and like figure out how to get an image and then why does the image look this way? And then like pre-visualizing, like trying to like think like, oh, I want something to look this way. How do I troubleshoot and, engineer how that like to happen is kind of how I got into it. And then from that, I would, film like skits and stuff like that with my friends, mainly not even to like make the content, but it was to have something to edit, to learn everything. So I'd come up with like concepts just to give me something to, as a vehicle, like to learn this like specific thing I was wanting to learn. Professionally, it happened because I'd been editing for a few years, just personal stuff. And I had a friend that was in a band, and that band was going on tour. So they wanted like behind the scenes stuff and like tour footage and all that. And then so I did that and loved it. And that was a whole new, because it was vlog style, but also like, trying to like incorporate like cinematic stuff to tell a story, rather than it just being like 2005, hey guys, those guys were involved with a production company. They were friends with people with a production company that did like traditional TV ads and stuff like that. And they were wanting an assistant editor. So they were wanting somebody to do like assembly edits and stuff like that. That's how I learned the like industry standards for like how stuff is expected and how to not only edit but have to learn all the different jobs for how all the gears work together on a bigger production. That was pretty much my start.
That's sweet. Yeah. I mean, that is one thing that has been apparent to us here. It's like your presence on set, knowing kind of what that bigger picture looks like, really plugging and playing has been really, really cool. Having you in here, we've been very blessed with a lot of growth. So it's been very much a blessing to have your expertise with us, not only on set, but here. You fit into the culture great. What was kind of your realization? Have you always known, like, I want to do this? Or did you have a moment specifically that you're like, all right, this is sweet, I'm going to try to make a career out of this?
I originally like thought it was just like a pipe dream. Like, I thought it was one of those like starving artists, like type of possible jobs, because all the traditional routes, like when we were thinking about traditional routes, the media would be like the news and stuff like that. And all the people that I knew that were working in either commercial or narrative and stuff like that, it's very much like the music industry. Like you need an in, and you got to there's politics to it. So it seemed like a pipe dream. No, my original like goal was I wanted to go into physics. So I wanted to go to college to I wanted to end up teaching physics. I thought that was like my passion and all that. And that didn't work out as far as like college. It wasn't going to work out for me to go because of weirdness in the age that I graduated. I graduated at 15 and couldn't go to college because I waited too many years to actually like apply. So then they were like, yeah, it'll be more expensive for you to go than somebody that just had C's, like in terms of scholarships and and financial aid and stuff, because financial aid was going to work weird. So at that point I was like, well, plan B is plan A now. So wow. I was like, this is the only actual skills I have. So yeah.
That's interesting. So young Sheldon is just full of crap.
I don't know what. Young Sheldon had an advisor. If I had an advisor, I wouldn't be here. I'd be bored out of my mind trying to
do physics.
Yeah, trying to give people thought experiments on trains.
How to do physics. No, I mean, well, I'm glad that didn't work out. But yeah, that's what's interesting is it's something that I remind myself and, really have the blessing of like coming into work every day is like, dude, we get to do fun stuff. We get to do cool stuff, for a living. Like that is one thing that is interesting with this industry in particular is like hiring. I was actually talking to some other business owners and, everybody's talking about this hiring, crap. Like, nobody wants to work.
Yeah. We
kind of live in a really fortunate industry for that because like we still work in an industry that like people, it's a pipe dream for them to do what we do and make a living from it.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then
somewhat saturated.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
in a very specific way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of weird. It's weird though too, because it is very approachable. Like in that way, like you can just buy a camera and go and shoot stuff. And if you're good, people will pay you for it. That's an interesting part of it too.
It's similar to the music industry. It's easier than ever to get into it, and the lower the barrier to entry is, then you got to rise
that much higher
above that because the pool just got that much fuller.
It's interesting though too, because I've talked with our clients that we work with and things like that, but it's this industry as well, the marketing industry, digital media creation, all that stuff. Like there's not that much of a verification like there's not much verification that goes on,
as far as like knowing that somebody can actually pull something off,
or they people can come in with big ideas and come in with as much hot air as they want, and then people. So that is another interesting side to this is being able to have that proof of concept, that social proof of saying like, hey, this is what we've done in the past, and things like that is very interesting as well. What is kind of yours, just so people can get to know you more? You like to be in the air, right?
Oh yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your pilot side of things.
Yeah, I am a private pilot, so fixed wing, so not helicopters, airplanes. I'm a private pilot. I'm like around 200 hours right now. The way that came about is literally I was 23 and I was like, I have the ability to right now, as far as time and money and where I'm at and like access to be able to do it. It makes no sense. It makes no financial sense. It makes no nothing. But I'm like, when I'm 25, it's going to be harder. When I'm 30, it's going to be harder. But I want to. Like, it will mean something to me, even though it means nothing on paper. And so that was literally just like a leap of faith thing. I was like, I'm just going to do this, hoping that me 5 years from now, me 10 years from now looks back and like, hey, thanks for going ahead and doing that then. And if not, then it's like, I get it. Like if I got to 40 and look back and I was like, why did I do that? I'd be like, nah, I understand it.
Yeah.
So, but no, it ended up being like a massive passion for me. I didn't actually get interested in it until my brother, who lives in Nashville, and I lived 3 hours away. Our way of like having a relationship and having fun was he was doing flight simulator, like building a flight simulator rig at home, and he was wanting me to get into doing that with him, so we'd have something to do. So I knew nothing, so he's just teaching me everything. So we both build simulator rigs at home, and then we did that for years, like thousands of hours, and just absolutely fell in love with it. So it's still just huge passion of mine.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is one thing. I mean, we kind of connected on that too. I mean, cause I have my solo license. And one of my fun fact things, in those little networking things are like, your name and a fun fact is like, hey, I'm Rob. And, I flew my first plane before I could ride a bike. And then my second fun fact is I still don't know how to ride a bike. Really though, no, I did fly my first plane, before I had a car or could legally drive a car, but I haven't followed up on it as much. And you have what, 200 hours?
Yeah.
I don't mean to brag. I have 350 hours on War Thunder. So, I mean, it is what it is.
It's pretty much the same.
It's pretty much.
I can vouch. I played War Thunder. It's pretty much the same.
Yeah, the flight model.
I'm not a CFI, so I can say that.
But no, that is a really cool thing. And it's cool because it also, we were talking like it expands our reach as a company too, like to be able to, if you're happen to be flying somewhere and I want to go and get some lunch, we can go get some lunch or something. Yeah. That's fun too. But that is another really cool thing.
The biggest thing for aviation that I would have never thought about is a lot of people fly because they like the thrill of I'm going fast and I'm above the air and I can look down at people in their cars and be like, peasant, that. Or they get the thrill of I'm gonna pull G, suck the blood out of my head, and they want an adrenaline rush. My favorite thing about flying is taking somebody up that's never been up before, trying to make it as smooth and make the smallest amount of adrenaline get created for them, just it's smooth and all that. And when you're up there, when you're flying, nothing else matters because it can't, because you'll die. So any problems you got going on, people will try in a bunch of different ways, through meditation, through stuck here. Through a ton of different ways to
distract themselves, kind of,
to try to get in a place where they can gain perspective. Whether they need some tragic event to happen to put everything, but all my problems are small or stuff like that. If I got something going on, once I'm up there, I'm like, no, it doesn't
Doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter, because what matters is I got to get there. I got to pull this off. And then once you do, you're like, like all this other stuff is small. Like I can figure that out. And taking somebody up that's never flown before, or especially if they've never been in an airplane before, especially if they come from a small town, or they don't know what they want to do with their life, even if it doesn't inspire them to want to fly or anything to do with the aviation, it opens up their whole thinking to what is possible. Because if they see me doing it and they know where I came from, they know my upbringing and stuff like that, they're like, well, if you can come from that and you can do this, then wherever I come from, like I can, even if it's not aviation, like the sky's the limit. No, that's the stupidest dad joke.
Oh, yeah, that was good. It even got me.
That one hurts me.
No, that was good. No, that was good. Well, and then too, you think about it. If the flight is getting a little dull after the first thing, wears off, the first adrenaline rush, all it takes is just a slight, and then all of a sudden everybody's back engaged.
Oh, yeah.
You just come over the comments and be like,
Me and my brother like to come up with things like, what are the worst things you can say in a plane? And one of them is like when you're just turning out on the runway and you go full power and you're about to take off, just like put the mic right up on him and be like, suckers.
Suckers, yeah.
just do that, or like, man, I thought they fixed that. It's still doing that.
Does anybody else hear that? What is that here? And I smell something burning. It's like, no, what is that?
Yeah. Well, something's messed up, but good news is it won't be a problem here in a minute.
You only worry about it for another 30 seconds. That's it.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's really cool that you have something that you are very passionate about and that you can lean into to gain that perspective. I think a lot of people can go their entire lives without experiencing that kind of like, I have something that I know I can go to gain perspective when I need it. And I think that's very important for everybody to have. So I think that's really cool. Kind of going back to media, is there something that you would kind of give as a recommendation to folks who are looking to get into that field that we get to enjoy working in?
The media industry is all about specialization, like to some degree. Like, so if you're working in like narrative or like the film industry and stuff like that, that is 1,000 cogs, and you just got to be a really good whatever your cog is. So if you find out that you're like really interested in like, again, the visual stuff, so you're like photography, or if it's editing, or if it's lighting, if it's grip and electric, whatever it is, those are things that you can like, you can figure out like that are interesting. But I think one of like the bigger things for people to learn is figure out what part of creating something that they like. For me, I figured out it's like the engineering and troubleshooting thing of it, because I'm like, we can walk down the street down here and almost every person we see, they've had about 10 award-winning great ideas as we walk down the street, but it doesn't matter. Like, ideas are worthless without execution. And you can take mediocre ideas, mediocre, concepts and stuff like that, and through really good execution, create something that, we see as like amazing, or we thought that somebody was like, oh, they're just a visual genius, or like, or we think of as like super creative. For me, the creative process is like, the guys with the chainsaw on the ice block and stuff, they didn't make the thing. They just removed everything else that wasn't that.
They freed it. Yes. Yeah.
That's what it is for me. It's the problem solving. Maybe that comes from the physics stuff, but
no, I think that's that's a very interesting way to look at it, especially looking back on like my journey within it, because I don't really do much of the actual production anymore. For me, what I've really found very fulfilling is like, how do you systemize and manage creativity in a meaningful way, and then bring that and then allow other people access to it, our clients or whatever, and systemizing that and optimizing that for our clients.
Yeah.
I've found real fulfillment in that, to where it's like, now it does help to keep stuff fresh around here though. Like we're working with totally different ends of the spectrum in a lot of ways on our different clients that we work with. So it does keep stuff fresh creatively, but, there's kind of this inverse relationship between productivity and creativity as far as like systemization,
completely
like that. So balancing that and then finding ways to be, where can we be more efficient versus, without expensing the creativity side of it. Because at the end of the day, that's why people bring us in, is for that creativity, which is cool, and expertise and all those other things. But
completely, you do meet people that are interested in this industry that have a hard time basically like with output, with actually producing work, because it feels like it takes away time from them, from their creative outlet. And you really do have to figure out what part of, because there's so many things in the creative arts, like creative industry or whatever, you really do have to figure out, what can I do that I really enjoy doing it as work? Like, it doesn't have to be we're doing it as work. It means you're not being creative or whatever. But like, again, for me, especially like video media and like, and marketing, working with clients and stuff like that, that is work, as in like it is like producing something that is fun. Like that is fun to me. That's more fun than the more, again, artsy, like creative parts.
Yes.
So
same with me. Yeah. And then because I think what's really neat is it's because I don't know why, but in a lot of ways, like for me, like creating, there is a certain beauty in creating to create, but for some reason, part of my brain is just like, well, what is this serving? Like it's got to be in service to something bigger, which I guess, you making the world a better place or something, I guess maybe for just creating to create, but I get to see that in a very real sense in the way of like, oh, this brought this client this much business, or now they are able to solve this problem because of this or whatever. I think that is very fulfilling. And it's really cool.
It's problem solving.
Yeah.
Because they're coming to, even though they're not like presented as a problem, they're like, hey, we're doing this, we want this. And your job is to figure out like, okay, what is the absolute like perfect like Venn diagram, Goldilocks zone of the resources that are available, the time that's available, resource being their budget or whatever, and like who they are and everything to like make the perfect thing to fix whatever that problem is, even though again it's not framed as a problem, but
that ultimately that is what it is. I agree. And then too, it's interesting that in a lot of ways, I serve and what we have to do is translate what they're wanting to what we do. You know what I mean? Like
even if they don't know,
that's it.
And that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. When we can come in and then like, they don't know exactly what they want, or they know what they want, but they don't know how to say it to where we know how to put that into action. That is another thrilling part of it, is like, okay, translating their thoughts or their ideas or their wants or their needs into something actionable that we can present and achieve that goal. That's another exhilarating part.
That's a huge skill for somebody to learn. Like that's not like a talent that I think like I had or something like that. That was something that was learned over a long time. Was that a huge part of it is dealing with people. It's the communication. Even if you never even ended up making the thing, it's trying to translate how to give them what they, end up wanting, even if they don't exactly know what they want. That just comes with time and working with a huge variety of different clients and stuff like that, and seeing the patterns and like, yeah.
What's funny is because we've had conversations and just like, we can see, once you've done it for a while, you start to, like you said, see patterns. Yeah. And then you can kind of put them into boxes. Okay. Like they have a general idea. They're talking more on feel on this, right? They want it to be upbeat, fast, blah, blah, blah. Whereas other people are like, they have a vision on a shot or a sequence of shots, and it's just different. Or, they think in this way and we've seen this before. So how do we handle it? And that is part of it, is like just that experience of being around and working with a lot of different people.
Yeah. And you need failure, like to do that. Like you need, like I pity someone trying to ever like get into this industry if everything's just smooth and everybody they're working with is smooth. They don't have any problems, because you ain't learning, you're not being challenged, and you're not like jumping into the next whole like phase that you didn't know existed.
And way better now. You feel way more prepared and confident because you know where you fell short or whatever. Yeah. And then there's also those projects where you know what you have to do and it's just big. It's just daunting. And then whenever you get done with it, it's like, that feels good to be done with, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that is a cool spot to be in. But then another concept that I've been thinking on just leadership and personal development wise is, you know, the biggest winners that I see, you know, what determines success and failure, and you'll probably hear this throughout multiple episodes because it's a concept I'm constantly thinking about, is like what determines your level of success in the long run in those upper echelons is not how you respond to failure. It's how you respond to success. So like, you know, it's easy to respond to failure. You just don't quit. And obviously you don't want to make the same mistake twice. As long as you learn from it and don't quit, you've beaten the failure. But how you stack success is a lot more telling. So whenever you do finish a good project, are you learning from that? Are you seeking knowledge in the way that you would if you would have failed? But then also, how do you translate that into more success? Do you allow that success to pacify you? Are you always staying hungry? Are you always learning the next thing? That is ultimately what determines how far you will go, compared to somebody who is, you know, if you only focus on failure, everybody experiences. Another thought is everybody experiences failure. Not everybody experiences success. So how you handle that success ultimately, I think, is a big piece, not only in media, not only in professionalism, it's everything. You know, if you're winning at home, if you have a great family life, are you going to let that pacify you so you take your foot off the gas? If you're winning in business, do you hit that point to where, you know, we're making good money now. I'm not going to seek that goal that I set out at the beginning of the fiscal year. You know, we're feeling good now. You know, I'm going to just ease off the brake, or I'm not going to innovate, or I'm not going to change, or I'm not going to seek to make things more efficient, you know, just because we're in a successful spot. I think is a very interesting concept. And it in media, I think is very interesting because if you're producing media for clients, obviously they're liking it, you know, and ideally most of your projects are going to be successful. The majority of them, the vast majority of them, 99% ideally are going to be successful projects. So then if you try to mitigate those failing projects or where you maybe had hiccups, how do you continue to improve is, okay, how do you manage your success? Are you looking at it and say, okay, well, this is where trends are going. This is where, you know, how can we become more efficient in this piece, and how do you look at that? And I think that takes a lot of self-reflection. I think as a company, I feel like our culture invites that a lot, which I'm thankful for. And I feel like that's something that you have already come to the table with, like knowing like, all right, how do we always be making this better? To where the clients that we work with on 1 month, the next month we show up like, oh, that's cool. You guys are doing that now. Like they're improving it. I mean, we just had a client do that with us for their Christmas shoot, you know, like they're like, oh, you know, that's cool. That's elevated, you know, from the last shoot. So those constant improvements, I think, are going to add up in the long run for anybody.
No, this whole business is the business of attention to details. And like that would mean like, oh, you just like pay attention to the details more. No, like the way you grow is you start learning like whole categories of details you were completely blind to. And so it's just a constant process of refining and refining and refining over and over. Like you're talking about like with that Christmas shoot, like it's all the little things rather than the big ideas. That's what actually ends up like the whole, that's what makes the cumulative thing that people describe as like cinematic or professional and all that. It's the attention to detail. It's not the specific big things.
Yeah, because really in the general sense, like the general like the more detailed you can be is like the more professional it is, if that makes sense. Like that's just the degree of which you're, am I making sense? Like, and that adds more value and everything like that.
It's intention.
Yes.
Yeah, it's intention. Like I was talking to Dalton about like the fact of like, which this converts, but like clothing, like what people wear, very similar to like what you want to do in like any sort of media, photography, video, commercials, whatever. You can do whatever you want to do as long as it seems on purpose.
That's it. No, yeah. As
long as it seems on purpose. And the more on purpose it is, you can just have crazy ideas. But that's all, everybody that's execution. Otherwise, you get stuff that's either goofy or melodramatic.
Yeah, and the only thing worse than like unintentionally messing up like an outfit or something is making it clear that you had an intent, but you didn't fulfill it. And it's like, I see what you were trying to do with that jacket. It's not going.
That's not the compliment you want.
Nope.
You don't want to get something and be like, did you mean to do that?
That's way worse. That is way worse.
I see what you were trying to do.
Yes. Yep. Yep. That is way worse. And because then it is clear that you had the intent, but you just did not have the attention to detail to make it happen.
There's a vast difference between I see what you did and I see what you're trying to do.
Yeah, that's a totally different conversation.
Yeah, we've all seen that.
Yep.
We all know what that
That's
is.
when the single teardrop rolls down the eye. You're just like, I'm
garbage.
Yeah, I'd be like, I thought that blue jean jackets were in. Apparently they are not, and I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
but
yeah, you can wear denim and denim as long as you're aware that Justin Timberlake made that happen first.
Yep. And you are Morgan Wallen.
Yeah.
But hey, maybe one day. Dalton's always calling me out for my fashion choices, so that's what happens when you have a fashionista in the building.
I came here just for the fashion.
Like, this guy's wearing rhinestone boots to a job interview. Sign me up.
Yeah, I'll be your rhinestone cowboy.
I'll be around. Well, cool, man. I'm excited. I'm excited for many more episodes. The cool thing is we have a cool crew now, so we can just do these, we'll call them the home team sessions, and we'll just talk about cool stuff. We'll decide what we want to talk about. But I really appreciate you. I'm glad you're on the team. And we've been so pumped with the work you've already put out. You add so much value to us. I'm excited for the Rob Mathis podcast as we roll out some of these awesome episodes we got coming out. And thank you all for watching. Thank you, Luke, for being here.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys on the many episodes to come.